If regents could take their seats, we'll begin open session of the Board of Regents. Let me first begin by asking the Secretary to call the roll.
Thank you. Anderson? Anguiano? Here. Blum, Brown, Butler? Here. Cohen? Here. Elliott? Here. Estelano? Here. Graves? Here. Guber? Kiefer? Here. Lansing? Here. Lieb? Here. Makarishian? Here. Morimoto? Here. Napolitano? Here. Newsom? Ortiz Oakley? Here. Park? Here. Perez? Here. Rendon? Sherman? Tauscher? Here. Torlakson? Here. And Zettel. Here. You have a quorum.
Thank you. I would call now for adoption of the minutes of the July 18 meeting. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Without objection, the minutes are approved. All right, we're going to go to public comment now, and as we normally have 20 minutes, 20 minutes for public comment, but we're going to double it today because of the number of people who want to speak to 40 minutes. And I want to say to the guests in the audience that we appreciate your appearing before us to speak and talk about issues of interest to the university. It's important that we hear from the public, and so we want to do that. The Secretary is now going to review the procedures and ground rules and then recognize each speaker in turn. I know some of you have pooled your time, some of you have not. Madam Secretary.
Okay. Thank you. The notice you received when you entered the auditorium set out rules for public comment and conduct during the meetings. If you'd like to review these guidelines and need a copy, please raise your hand and our staff member will get you a copy. This morning, we have almost 60 individuals who signed up to speak, but as Chair Kiefer indicated, many of you have pooled, so hopefully we'll be able to hear from everyone. Each individual speaker will have up to 1 minute to address the regents. If your colleagues have pooled to you, pooled speakers will get 2.5 minutes. I don't give you a warning, however, at the end of your time, you'll hear my timer go off. So please be mindful of those speakers who will follow you, yield the microphone when your time is up, and then we can hear from everyone. There's a microphone at the front of the public seating area. I'm going to call 5 names at a time, so if you could queue up once I call your name, and once I call your name, any order you speak is just fine. Please be ready when it's your turn to speak. To hear from as many speakers as possible, the regents do not use these public comment periods for an exchange with speakers. Regents' questions resulting from your comments will be referred to staff. Written comment is also important. You may give any written materials that you've brought with you to our staff member who's in the audience with you. Those materials will be available to regents for the duration of the meeting. Also, if you don't finish your statement and you have it in writing, you may give it to our staff member. So, our first 5 speakers this morning, Jody Evans, Mia MacGyver, Lindsay Huazar, Mark Macaro, and 2 of Mr. Macaro's colleagues have pooled, so he's a pooled speaker, and Johanna Guerra. Once again, any orders just fine. Just let us know who you are before you begin.
I wish I was 5'10". So I just...
Is the mic working? Go ahead.
Test. Sort of. It's taped, isn't it? Meyuyam. Polova mo echngai. Lova kapiva out when arriva opum esh. Non mukara. Pichangayam pum toshngangati. Lova kapiva out when not. Polov. My name is Mark Macaro. I am the tribal chairman for the Pechanga Band of Luiseño Indians in Temecula, California, and it's good to be here with all of you this morning. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Chairman, and members of the Board of Regents to make some remarks this morning. Our reservation is located in the Temecula Valley, and it once spanned an Aboriginal territory from Corona to Escondido, and from our valley to the Pacific Ocean. We're here today to ask for your help in returning the remains of our ancestors and their associated funerary remains or funerary items so that we can reinter them to where they belong on Ashoyi, on San Nicolas Island in this case. They are entitled to reburial with proper respect and dignity, something they and all other people deserve. in California, the home to the most federally recognized tribes of any state. There's over 110. The goals of NAGPRA, the Native American Graves and Repatriation Act of 1990, and the intent of Congress have been absolutely stonewalled when it comes to many of the UC campuses. Unlike your ancestors, our ancestors are still seen as specimens to many UC researchers instead of human beings with the right to a final, undisturbed place of rest. Since 1990, most UC campuses have found ways under the current NAGPRA law to stall the repatriation process, and in many cases, to outright deny claims and requests for repatriation, using loopholes such as making findings of unaffiliated or unidentifiable. In fact, as of June 13th of 2013, UC Berkeley in particular had repatriated only 313 of 10,000 remains. 313 of 10,000. The denial of the return of our ancestors and those of other California tribes whose human bones were dug up in the name of science is a disgraceful violation of basic human dignity, decency, and a violation of federal and state laws. It is also an affront to the fundamental intent of Congress vis-a-vis repatriation itself, that the citizens of a tribal nation are worthy of repatriation to their native soil. Just last month, our American nation celebrated the repatriation of what are believed to be the remains of over 50 U.S. service members from North Korea. It was a solemn occasion that was rightfully cherished. And in fact, the Vice President of the United States was at Pearl Harbor and had the honor of saying to these fallen heroes, "Welcome home." Today, nearly 30 years after the passage of NAGPRA and almost 20 years since the passage of CAL-NAGPRA, more than 10,000 ancestral remains throughout the system sit on museum shelves and boxes under the UC system's control. We've heard it said that the UC treats human remains with respect and dignity, but as we've learned, the remains of our ancestors still lie in Ziploc bags in curation on museum shelves. So ask yourselves, do human remains in Ziploc bags reflect UC's respect toward tribal people? We will no longer accept these conditions as the norm. This year, as you know, we sponsored a bill to help remedy this travesty. It is intended to address a broad systemic need to improve the UC's engagement with tribes and timely repatriation of ancestral remains. Regardless of the outcome of the bill, however, you have an opportunity and a legal and moral duty to work with us to return your relatives to demonstrate your values. In closing, yesterday we had the privilege to meet with President Janet Napolitano, Berkeley Chancellor Carol Christ, and Regent John Perez. As a result of that meeting, I feel we have an opportunity to move in a new direction under their leadership. I'm encouraged by that conversation we had and the possibilities around how we collectively change the current culture and paradigm of intransigence within the UC when it comes to these NAGPRA issues. As you know, however, tribal nations across the U.S. have been misled for centuries here in California since 1848 in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. For us, actions always speak louder than words. Please let your actions speak louder than words for everybody's benefit, including the natives of California. No more empty words. We stand ready to work with you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Good morning. My name is Carly Town. I'm a member of the women's peace group Code Pink. Code Pink is a nonprofit that opposes militarism and seeks positive social change through proactive, creative protest and nonviolent direct action. Code Pink is a part of a national campaign that is calling on our universities to divest from the war machine. Divestment from the war machine means removing invested assets from companies that derive their profits from U.S. military interventions, the global arms trade, and the militarization of our streets. A May 30th Bloomberg article states that the asset manager, BlackRock, now has the opportunity to influence UC's $118 billion in investments from the inside. BlackRock has high stakes in weapons companies such as General Dynamics, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and Raytheon. These companies lie at the heart of the military-industrial complex. General Dynamics, BlackRock owns more than 16 million shares of General Dynamics stocks, directly profiting from the company's oppressive and violent work at home and abroad.
Time.
BlackRock's investments are making a killing on killing. Don't let them put UC's money behind the war machine.
Good morning, Regents. I'm Mia McIver. I'm a lecturer here at UCLA, and I'm president of UC-AFT, representing lecturers and librarians at all UC campuses. I've been a UC faculty member for 8 years, and I'm still hired on a temporary and contingent basis. I'm here on behalf of more than 5,000 UC faculty members today to ask you to postpone voting on Standing Order 105.1 on reorganization of the Academic Senate until there's a robust discussion about excluding 1/3 of UC faculty from the Academic Senate. The proposed revisions to Standing Order 105.1 will admit a handful of part-time faculty to the Senate, while thousands of full-time faculty remain without Senate representation. These full-time faculty have direct educational responsibility for undergraduate, graduate, and professional responsibility, yet no voice or ability to discuss or vote about curricula or educational policy. This is an abdication of the UC's educational mission and an abandonment of UC students. Since contingent faculty are more likely to be women and faculty of color than tenure-track faculty, excluding us from the Senate contributes to sexism and racism at the UC.
Time.
Don't exclude contingent faculty from your consideration of faculty diversity, and stop excluding us from the Academic Senate.
Hello everyone, my name is Joanna Guerra Martinez, and I am a student advocate to the Regents. Good morning, I am a third year undocumented student here at UCLA. Last month at UCSA Student Organizing Summit, Undocumented Student Services was elected by student leaders across 9 campuses at the 2018-19 Focus for Our Acquire campaign, which is all about quality in resources and education. This campaign was spearheaded by the UC Undocumented Coalition and seeks to support undocumented students through increasing staff support on each campus. This includes fully funding immigration legal services for attorneys and legal fees, mental health support services, and frontline program support for a program coordinator and emergency grants. These areas we are asking for support from Student Affairs and UC Office of the President include 1 attorney at each campus, 1 permanent undocumented coordinator/center, counseling services specifically for undocumented students. And these are all things that we aimed for back in 2013 when Janet first granted us $5 million. Currently, UC Merced, UC Santa Barbara are requesting and do not have 1 permanent attorney. UC Merced, UC San Diego, and UCI have inadequate mental health services.
Time.
And these are goals that we had back in 2013 and are still looking to achieve today. Thank you. Sorry. Hello, my name is Lindsay Weezar, the External Vice President for UC Merced and Rigel Robinson's successor, the University Affairs Chair for UCSA. I run for the position because it's time for Merced and, more importantly, the Central Valley to finally have a platform large enough to allow for our voices to finally be centered in your conversations. Our university is growing at exponential rates, yet still struggle to support its students. So what better way than to use my position as a University Affairs Chair to gain access to y'all who hold autonomy to implement real, tangible change over the UC system. I would like to start off by having y'all look around the room. We fail to see once again, even after 13 years, that there is still no Central Valley region here to advocate for one of the most historically marginalized populations in California. The closest thing we have to Central Valley region is Sacramento, but I'm here to tell you that Central Valley issues are much more complex than what is happening at the Capitol. How are y'all going to strategically plan a UC in one of the most underdeveloped regions of California with little to no support on making the campus and its surrounding areas flourish? When was the last time you visited UC Merced? As an ex officio, Gavin Newsom, we at UC Merced expect some outreach to see how we can fill the empty regent seat with someone who is representative of the Central Valley. When you ignore UC Merced and the Central Valley, you are be submissive to the issues that plague the entire UC system.
Time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going. The issues seen within the Central Valley and UC Merced are cumulative of the issues we have seen manifest through the University of California system for decades. Your opportunity to finally address these issues lie in the direct action of supporting UC Merced in the Central Valley. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Leanna Hidalgo, Kyle Alves, and Nico Gist.
My name is Liana, and I'm a PhD student at UCLA and an organizer for Mothers of Color in Academia. Parenting students want to raise our families with dignity. We are not asking for much. We are just asking for enough. Enough childcare spaces that we can be full-time students and not have to consider rehoming our children with relatives during the week, like my undergraduate student, Jenny. Enough compliant lactation spaces that we can nurture our babies and our bodies without fear of invasion of privacy or painful infections caused by going too long without pumping, like what happened to me. Enough compensation as TAs and student workers that single parents, like my friend Joanna, are not kept on the knife's edge of poverty, receiving more social assistance than income for labor that we are encouraged to think of as professional. We ask for enough paid administrators across the UCs to undertake a system-wide assessment of student-parent educational needs, to collect data across the UC system to assess the poorly neglected needs of parenting students to be completed within 12 months. What makes the university move is numbers, so we ask Student Affairs to quantify our numbers and our experiences across UCs. Based on these findings, we ask the university to create a task force and an action plan for addressing the underserved parenting community and create meaningful policy addressing them so that organizations like Mothers of Color in Academia are planning play dates rather than protests. Thank you.
Good morning, members of the UC Regents. My name is Kyle Alves, a second-year environmental science student at UCLA running CalPERC's 100% renewable energy campaign. I want to first say thank you from all of us at CalPERC students for committing the entire UC system to 100% clean, renewable purchase electricity by 2025. It is an important step in the right direction, now more than ever, in order to stop the worst impacts of climate change. I'm so proud to be a UC student, proud of the university for taking this visionary commitment, and proud of my generation for working together to push for a future powered by clean energy. Over the past 2 years, CalPERC students worked with university staff and stakeholders and mobilized support on campus for 100% clean energy. We held events such as solar-powered concerts on campus and got thousands of students, dozens of student leaders and faculty, and student government associations to support the Clean Energy campaign. Thank you so much for working to make this happen, and we look forward to continue to work with you all to make the 100% clean energy commitment on campus. Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Nico Gist, and I'm a senior at UCLA studying political science and the UCLA chapter chair for CalPERC Students, a statewide student-directed political advocacy group. I'm also running the New Voters Project on campus with CalPERC students, working to ensure that all eligible students at UCLA register and vote. So CalPERC Students' New Voters Project has plans to help register 5,000 students to vote and make 50,000 get-out-the-vote contacts across the state. And here at UCLA, we're working with the nonpartisan Bruins Vote Coalition to make that happen. Just yesterday, the Bruins Vote Coalition helped register 350 students to vote and collected 850 pledges to vote on National Voter Registration Day. And on Monday, we joined California Secretary of State Alex Padilla at a press conference to speak about the importance of youth voter registration and how to increase accessibility moving forward. We're excited to be working to turn out the youth vote and look forward to continuing to work with the UCs to institutionalize voter reg on campuses across the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next 5 speakers have many colleagues who have all pooled their time to these 5 speakers, so each will get 2.5 minutes. Catherine Cobb, Lori Hancock, Tracy Griffin, Stephen McBride, and Jason Rabinowitz.
Good morning, President Napolitano and UC Regents. My name is Catherine Cobb, and I'm president of Teamsters Local 2010. We have over 12,000 UC clerical and skilled trade workers. President Napolitano, I'm here with our Teamster dispatchers to call on you and the university to live up to its commitments to its workers and campus safety. Our dispatchers, who will speak with you shortly about their experiences, and also the crucial work of taking emergency calls from students, faculty, and others on the UC campuses. They work with the people on the other end of the line facing emergency situations and coordinate the first responders to ensure that emergency callers receive the help that they need. Due to long and standing issues with pay, understaffing, and workplace stress, our members work too long for too little pay. These issues negatively impact our members' lives, their families, and the safety of students and faculty. With the understanding remaining, dispatchers are expected to pick up more overtime and calls to cover more calls. The university recognized these issues and agreed to work with our unions to address them in April 2017, but has more recently walked back from this commitment. This is an example. It's 6 o'clock in the evening, you've just had dinner. Your baby is crying. You go to find out why your baby's crying. And you see that there's something wrong, but you don't know what's wrong. So you decide that you need help. You call 911. When you call, the phone rings, and it rings, and it rings, and it rings. No answer. You have the power to help. Please help. Thank you.
Good morning. We're UCLA Police Department dispatchers. If you have a call today, you're going to get one of us. Teresa has been with UCLA Communications for 25 years, Gio 17, and myself for 14 and a half. In that time, our communication center has only been fully staffed for 1 month. If you look around you today, you have the unique opportunity and honor to be protected by our amazing UCLA police officers. We're a part of that team as well. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, we're at the call center. We're the first person the community comes in contact with, no matter the situation, but we're also the first person everybody seems to forget. If you know what we do. We're the voice you hear when you have a question, you've lost your car, your child refuses to return your phone calls, you need a medical or fire personnel, or God forbid that suspicious person outside has a gun. We're expected to know everything, be everything, send everything, and do that the majority of the time at emergency staffing levels. Whether we're on day 1, hour 1, or day 32, hour 15, we're expected to be ready for anything. In the last month, each one of us has worked a minimum of 18 days in a row. In order to ensure adequate staffing in our communications and for our officers and UCLA community. Rarely does anyone call the police department because they're having a good day. They call because they have to deal with anything from an inconvenience to a life-threatening emergency. Dispatchers have to be prepared to be the first voice heard and quite possibly the last one anyone ever hears. An officer or members of this community's worst day has to be our best day. All we're asking is that you meet us at the negotiation table. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Stephen McBride. I've been a UC Davis police dispatcher for the last 10 years. I'm here today with my fellow dispatchers and Teamsters Local 2010 members to call to your attention the injustices that are facing UC dispatchers. Back in 2008, when I started, I was first told that I could expect regular step raises. What I found out when I joined my team was that not only was that not happening, but there was the senior dispatcher at the time had been there for 35 years and still wasn't that top step. It was a big morale crusher to find out that the university didn't value what we did enough to give us the raises that we deserved. Being the sole income provider for my wife and 5 children, it really has affected me in many ways. I've lost tens of thousands of dollars by not getting these step raises, and I often have to try to struggle to find a good work-life balance with the needs of my department and the needs of my big family at home. Just the other day, my 8-year-old son, DJ, was talking to his siblings about a board game invention that he had, that he wanted to make more money so that he could have more time with me. I value what I do as a dispatcher and take a lot of pride in being the lifeline for those officers that protect our community, and also on the other end of 911 calls to get critical medical help en route in less than 20 seconds to our community members that need that. However, I truly desire that the university puts that same value back into us and increase the morale and increase the way they show their appreciation for what we do. So that's what we call on you to do. We call on you to support UC dispatchers. Support us so that the university bargains in good faith with our union so that we can get these issues made right. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Tracy Griffin. I work with the UCSF Police Dispatch. I've been with them for almost 2 years now. In my time there, over the 2 years, witnessed a lot of staffing shortages at our department. There's days that I have had to work regularly and continually, 12-hour shifts alone. And again, that's you're answering 911 and you're answering general calls and trying to do everything and be everything for 12 hours a day alone. It's a real huge safety issue and safety risk for the general public when you don't have the support you need within the dispatch center. People are sacrificing their health physically and mentally where they can't recover from being ill, or you take a day off and you just have to come right back because there's just not enough coverage. I've been working for the last month, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, and working at my own department and helping to cover staffing shortages at UC Berkeley. UC Berkeley recently had a dispatcher go out on a shift alone, 12 hours. She fell ill, had to call an ambulance for herself. And make sure that the department telephone service, 911 calls, and radio traffic rolled over to another department before she could actually be taken care of and taken to the hospital. It's one of the things that we really need to focus on and help the departments bring up their staffing levels. It's a dangerous situation, and to witness not one person have to call the ambulance for themselves, and then you have another person who's picking up the slack is now falling ill as well. So definitely looking at staffing and working on retaining people so that we're not continually losing staff is a big issue with our departments. So, yeah. Thank you.
Good morning, Regents, President Napolitano, Governor Newsom, Lieutenant Governor Newsom, my mistake. I'm Jason Rabinowitz. I'm Secretary Treasurer, Teamsters Local 2010. And we're here, we're speaking on behalf of 14,000 hardworking Teamsters throughout the UC and CSU systems. And we're here today to ask the Regents and the university to take some simple steps in order to ensure the safety of our students and our community and fairness for our hardworking public safety dispatchers and records personnel. The best part about it is that we're asking the university to take steps that you've already agreed to take, but that the university has reneged on. You've heard about the problems that we have in public safety. You've heard about the understaffing, the lack of appropriate pay and steps for our public safety dispatchers and records personnel. Well, we were in bargaining, and we agreed to a side letter that said that we're going to sit down in good faith and address these issues and agree to fair compensation and fair treatment for our employees in order to ensure safety. The university dragged its feet for months and months and months and then said, well, no, we're not going to actually talk about anything of substance in those negotiations. And that's why we're here today, because the problems affecting safety continue today, and it's got to be fixed. So instead of paying all the lawyers all that money to defend the charges that we've brought, it's time for the university to sit down in good faith and bargain with our members and reach a fair agreement to ensure safety for the campuses and fairness for our hardworking public safety personnel. I also want to address another issue today about the university's conduct in light of the anti-union Janus decision. I'm sorry to say that the University of California has distinguished itself as the #1 union-busting employer in the public sector in California. Disgracefully, the University of California has flouted the law, has sent out union-busting materials, mass communications to its employees that would make the worst union-busting consultants proud. The university has been spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to outside lawyers defending its indefensible union-busting actions instead of correcting them. And so we want to say to the regents, you need to take a hard look at what's going on here, because the University of California should not be engaging in this sort of union-busting, anti-worker activity.
Thank you.
The University of California should be supporting its workers and our right to stand together for fairness in the workplace, which, by the way, helps the university to be stronger and more productive. Last but not least, I want to commend my sisters and brothers, our sisters and brothers from AFSCME and AFT who are here today. The Teamsters call on the University of California to bargain in good faith, to reach a fair agreement with the other unions, and to get everybody back to work on terms that are fair and that recognize the hard work that we do keeping University of California running every day. Thank you. We've got a petition here from our hardworking public safety employees. We urge you to look closely at this issue. Let's get this problem solved. It's not hard. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Okay, next we'll hear from Michelle Viorato, Stephanie King, Lucia Brandt, and David Yamada. Any order you want to speak is just fine. Go ahead.
Good morning, Regents. My name is Michelle Viorato. I'm a professional graduate student here at UCLA and representing the Graduate and Professional Council in the UC system. The reason I'm here today is to talk about basic needs. As a graduate council, we're very committed to advocating on behalf of graduate students, and this year we're highlighting the needs of parenting students and the need for housing for graduate students. Particularly for myself here at UCLA, I was very fortunate to get priority housing, and I've been able to live on campus. And it's been able to give me the opportunity to be involved and work with other students on campus. However, within the last year, undergraduate and graduate students have been able to partner and rally together to get involved in local government in order to ensure that student needs are served as a priority within Westwood and have been advocating in support of additional housing. UCLA is doing great work with their housing master plan. We were able to secure 321 additional beds for graduate students. However, I'm also here to say that that's not enough. As a student who is in charge of paying for my own education without another place to live over the summer and trying to do a summer internship, the lack of funding isn't there, and we need additional housing. Thank you.
Are any others here? Go ahead.
I don't believe David Yamada will be here. Okay. My name is, good morning to all the distinguished regents here. My name is Lucia Brandt. I'm a registered nurse at UCLA. I am here today in solidarity with support for AFSCME and UPTE, our co-workers who are still fighting for a contract. While the nurses are ratifying our new contract this week, we want the regents to know that we are committed to continuing to fight for our brothers and sisters in their struggle to get a fair contract. They deserve the same contract we fought for and won, with no takeaways, with job and retirement security. On behalf of all of us in the California Nurses Association, the nurses that serve the state of California, we ask you to be fair, to be just, and to be respectful. Thank you for all you do, and I hope that you recognize all that we contribute. Thank you again.
Thank you. Stephanie King here? Looks like not. So our next speakers will be Catherine Leibarger, Rosalind Williams. Ms. Leibarger and Ms. Williams' colleagues have pooled, so they'll each get 2.5 minutes. Jamie McDowell and Davin Thomas.
Good morning. My name is Jamie McDowell, and I'm the president for UPD. We've been in negotiations with the university since May of 2017. The university has shown before the first day at the table that you don't take this seriously. From a chief negotiator who can't even meet the university's deadline to request a successor negotiations, to arriving unprepared, to bringing nothing but takeaways to the table. Very few campuses even send representatives, even when we're bargaining at their own location. The university has been fixated on demanding a 401k for our new employees that shifts the burden of retirement onto the employees. A plan with high fees, significantly higher than industry standard, and managed by Fidelity, that Regent Kiefer's lobbying firm received millions of dollars from being their executive or their exclusive representative. And what does the university offer us? A cost of living increase that doesn't come anywhere close to keeping up with the CPI and where the campuses exist, demands to be able to raise healthcare premiums, parking, and other takeaways. And I ask you why? So you can keep hiring more managers and vice chancellors? So you can keep giving big salaries and 6-figure raises and bonuses to the top executives who run your staff into the ground. You are hemorrhaging staff. You're hemorrhaging the people that run this university, that run the research, that run the campuses, that run your medical centers. And this needs to stop. Show us the respect that we deserve. Pay us a living wage so we can live in the communities in which we work. We are not expecting to get rich, but we are expecting to be treated with respect. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Davon Thomas. I'm a third-year history major from UC Santa Cruz. I'm also the board chair for the UC Student Association. I'm going to read you the first part of an email that was sent to students on August 27, 2018. Dear faculty and staff, as you no doubt know, there is a significant housing crisis in Santa Cruz, and I'm writing to you today to see if you may be able to help us address that by offering a room for rent in your home to a UCSC student this fall. The first word that comes to mind is disappointment, and the reason why is in the greatest university system on this planet, we're asking students who are competing with their faculty and staff on their campuses for housing in Santa Cruz. The fourth least affordable housing market on this planet, just not in the country, but on this planet. We're turning lounges to quads, singles to doubles, doubles to triples. Students are homeless. Students are living in San Jose, an hour away, Watsonville, 30 minutes away, commuting to our campus, which is, it's a beautiful campus. The UC system is no doubt a powerful system here in California. However, we are failing our students. For them to have to reach out to faculty and staff and say, hey, room a student, staff and faculty are in the same horrible housing market that we're in. What space do they have that they can give to students? They have none. So understand the fact that it is your job, students' jobs, UCOP to support students and their efforts and their education. We're here to thrive, to graduate, to succeed, not to be homeless, not to get in debt, and so on and so forth. So we have to do better for the students in the UC system. Thank you.
Good morning, Regents. My name is Rosalind Williams, and I've been an MRI technologist at Ronald Reagan UCLA for 2.5 years. And for 2.5 years, I've watched the university outsource what was once middle-class jobs to contract companies that pay their workers less. Now, I'm not known to throw out racial charges, accusations around casually, but research shows that black workers, like myself, are disappearing from UC's directly employed workforce. It also shows that black women like me make as much as 23% less to start than white men performing the similar jobs. Your own employment data shows that since 1996, 37% of black UC service workers have vanished and now more likely to work for outsourcing companies. If the university is unwilling to change, I know that it's only a matter of time before my opportunity and the opportunities of the last few workers at UC will be cut short. Sadly, you probably think I'm here for the money only. It's not so. We came here to build a career. So tell me, what good is a raise if your job gets outsourced next year? Thank you.
Good morning, Regents. My name is Catherine Leibarger with AFSCME 3299, and I speak on behalf today of UC's 25,000 service and patient care technical workers as their union president. 150 years ago, the university was founded on progressive values like equality and social mobility. But even as it professes to pioneer a better future, for over a year, the university has denied a reality that our members see every day, that the darker your skin, the lower your pay, and the dimmer your prospects to advance become. You've refused to acknowledge it at the bargaining table, and you've demanded to continue practices like outsourcing that only deepen these inequities. I challenge each of you to walk one day in the shoes of our members, to live in perpetual uncertainty over whether you can meet the rent payment or fund your groceries, to see the hypocrisy of your employer talking tough about Donald Trump in the media, while at the workplace it makes common cause with his worst impulses. Because when you outsource the career pathways on which women and people of color rely, that's what you've done. When you spend $350 million to outsource these jobs to the same companies that are now ripping immigrant children from their mothers, that's what you've done. When you illegally impose contract terms on this segment of your workforce, that's what you've done. And when you actively stand in between these workers and their union, that is what you're doing. And worst of all, you're doing it while lining the pockets of your highest paid executives. That's not how you pioneer a better future in California. That is how you destroy it. So today, as we have done throughout our 70 years at UC, AFSCME is here to tell you that enough is enough. Today, I'm announcing that the UC's service and patient care technical units will vote on October 9th and 10th to go on strike for the second time this year. In failing to take our concerns seriously, UC is failing California. And until UC is ready to make real progress and to see that the aspirations of their lowest wage employees are not a burden, but they are a virtue, workers will be forced to consider measures of last resort because our futures depend on it. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 3 more individuals who've signed up to speak: Emma Baruti, Cameron Keller, and Jamie Kennerk.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jamie Kennerk, and I'm the undergraduate external vice president at UCLA. I'm also the campaign chair for UCSA's UC We Vote campaign. I want to start off by thanking UCOP for the funding that they have helped us secure, including $12,000 for needed campaign supplies system-wide. And we're also partnering with them to promote our voter registration website. Monday, I spoke at a press conference with Secretary of State Alex Padilla, kicking off the ballot poll and announcing pre-populated voter registration on my UCLA's website. As soon as the election is over, that is where my priority will be shifting, so that way we can set this up at all of our other campuses. So I would like to reiterate an ask from a few months ago that y'all fund a conference for IT departments to come together and work out how we can make this happen at all of our campuses to streamline voter registration. I would also like to say that even though I work mostly on voter reg, I support the demands of my peers here, including repatriation for Native remains, which I made a public comment on back in July, fulfilling the Undocu Coalition's ask, and giving our unions a fair contract. Finally, I remember that in August, it was mentioned there would be a special meeting, I believe October 9th, and I would like a reminder of where that meeting is so that way we can make sure we turn students out. Thank you.
Good morning, Regents. My name is Emma Birdie, and I am a second-year undergraduate at UCLA, and I am also the internal chief of staff of UCLA's EVP office. One of my personal mottos is that diversity is strength. There is a poster that sits in my dorm room that states just that message. And the University of California and UCLA both strive to embrace diversity within their institutions. The presence of multicultural faculty, students, and other employees within the UC system makes us some of the most exceptional schools in the world, and yet there are improvements that can be made. I am an Arab American, and I believe that the University of California must make a stronger effort to acknowledge the presence of Arab Americans on our campus. California has the highest population of Arab Americans out of the entire United States, at almost 800,000 of us in the state. However, on our most recent ethnicity reports published by the University of California for both faculty and students, we are grouped into the white category. This does not clearly represent us as an ethnicity, and it does not give us the true verification that we deserve. This statistical practice does not recognize our impact on the UC campuses. And I am here today to advocate for including Arab Americans as a separate ethnicity within future demographic reports. Thank you so much for your time.
Is Cameron Keller here? If not, I believe those are all our speakers.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. And then thank you for all those who spoke. We appreciate your comments. I want to begin our open session with a warm welcome to our 4 new regents who are here. LaFonso Butler, Michael.
Justice! Now!
Are you ready?
Justice! Now! Equality! Now! Justice! Now! Equality! Now! Justice!
The public comment. Is this on? We appreciate your participation. I'll give 2 warnings before clearing the room. Second warning, you are welcome to observe our deliberations, but please respect the members of the public and others here to speak. Should you continue to disrupt, we will recess and have the police clear the auditorium. There will not be another warning. Let's try to take our seats and keep moving forward. So thank you all for your help on that. Again, I want to begin with, once again, with a warm welcome to LaFonso, Michael, Cecilia, and Richard, our 4 new regents joining us who were approved in record time, and all of them have extraordinary backgrounds to help us in our work. So thank you and welcome to all of you. Also, welcome to Robert May to his first meeting as chair of the Academic Senate. And we are joined also by faculty representative and vice chair of the Academic Senate, Kumkum Bhavnani from UC Santa Barbara. Welcome to you. We look forward to working with you. We are joined also by staff advisor Kate Klimau, Chief Administrative Officer and Director of External Relations of UC Irvine's Applied Innovation Center. Welcome to you. Thank you. And now it gives me enormous pleasure to recognize a leader in the California legislature, Assembly Member Jose Medina, chair of the Assembly Education Committee, who's joining us today and has spent some time here. I think, is he still in the room? I hope. It must be outside. So we'll hear from Assembly Member Medina as soon as he re-enters the room. So let's send somebody out to let him know. Okay, send yourself. We have a large agenda, but I want to draw special attention to two items on Thursday. As part of the UCOP restructuring effort, we will hear a draft report from the UC Health Advisory Committee recommending structural funding and governance options for UC Health. I anticipate a substantive discussion in that. Regent Elliott is not in the room, but I know that he has questions that he wants to raise over here, and others, so that's an important discussion to hear. In addition, on Thursday afternoon, the Governance and Compensation Committee will begin a discussion to evaluate the July 2016 changes to board operations and committee structure. If you're not on the committee, you're certainly still invited to stay for that. It's more of a brainstorming session, an open discussion of suggestions, thoughts, and then we'll gather those and come back at a following meeting with recommendations. I also want to comment on some initiatives for the coming academic year, although they may not be addressed specifically on the agenda this week. First, in connection with this year's budget language, and led by the President and the staff, we are in the process of modeling a scenario that limits the number of out-of-state students at UC to 10% of the undergraduates by the year 2029. The budget language that we are following provides that such a plan would only be put into place if the state agrees to fund fully the university for the revenue that would be lost. This component is key, of course, but we are committed to preparing this plan. Whether it's 10% ultimately at the right number or whether it will depend on future budgets and discussions regarding the non-financial value of out-of-state students. I, like others, believe that the world's best university ought to have a certain number of non-resident students. At the same time, we have a deep obligation to continue addressing the education needs of Californians within the context of the master plan. The plan is due in April, but I know the President is pushing to get it done even earlier. Second, we are committed to an even closer relationship with the Board of Trustees of Cal State and the Board of Governors of the California Community Colleges in our respective systems. We'll be getting together for some informal meetings with select members of this board, the Board of Trustees, and the Board of Governors of the California Community Colleges. Third, we have discussed previously coming out of this retreat, the President working with our chancellors to present a vision for budgets and enrollment over the next 4 years. That is multi-year projections to help guide us, the governor, and the legislature. No legislature can bind another, but we will be setting a roadmap, we hope, that opens a discussion for all of us with how we deal with enrollment and budgets over the next few years. The President, in this context, has asked the chancellors to respond in multiple ways we can make the best use of our current resources, including 3-year degrees, year-round programs, coordination with CSU and the community colleges, among other efforts. Fourth, and very important, this board and the President are sensitive to the mounting needs of affordable student housing, class space, classrooms, and food security. These will be priorities for the year, along with access and quality. We, in partnership with the legislature, must balance the demands for enrollment with increasing student, faculty, and staff demands to fully serve those already enrolled and those who want to serve the university. Fifth, you know the President has continued to review a review of UCOP in coordination with a group of chancellors to address issues of duplication, possible delegation, and possible enhancement of services provided by the Office of the President. I have joined in those conversations, and I suspect by the time we're done, Chancellors Christ, Chancellors Hoggett, Chancellor Blumenthal, President, we'll probably have spent about 30 hours going through line by line virtually of the Schoberg survey. And finally is our commitment to transparency. Through our many reports, I believe we are the most transparent university in the country, probably the world. You can learn almost anything about the university through information publicly available, some of it to our disadvantage in recruitment of faculty. Sometimes I think we maybe have too much information to get to the information we want. But in our manner and our timeliness of response, we are not always perceived as open and transparent, whether at the campus or system level. We are a system of 10 extraordinary campuses, 3 national labs, 6 health systems, and an agriculture division. We are going to make mistakes. There is no way we can be perfect. But we as a system and as campus, as we begin this academic year, all of us, let's recommit to do the best we possibly can in being responsive to our government leaders, the students, the faculty, the staff, and the public of California. We have an extraordinary group of staff within our 10 campuses and the university system doing hard work every day, and almost at all times are they responsive. But we can all be better, including those of us on this board and those of us within the university system and the president's office. We're committing to do that. Now, one moment of history. Being at UCLA today, 100 years ago this month, on September 10th, our predecessors authorized a special committee of regents, Regents Dixon, Rowell, and Taussig, to meet with Dr. Ernest Moore, the president of Los Angeles Normal School, and Will C. Wood, the state commissioner of secondary education, Tom, your predecessor. And that meeting led to a giving of facilities of the Los Angeles State Normal School to the regents and the establishment of the southern branch of the University of California, now UCLA. Dixon and Moore are known as the fathers of UCLA in that respect, overcoming many obstacles, I may say, chiefly among them Berkeley's opposition. Dixon, the only region from Southern California at that time pushing this through, served on the board for 43 years. The longest tenure of any region. I don't know if he would have served through some of our meetings. And I might point out to all of you, he served the last 8 years as chair. Moore became the founding director of the Southern Branch and was later named provost and vice president of UCLA. There was no chancellor of UCLA for many, many years. With those remarks and a congratulations to UCLA, that concludes my remarks. That I'm told now that Assemblymember Medina is in the room, and so it gives me really great pleasure to introduce one of the great gentlemen of the California legislature, the chair of the Assembly Higher Education Committee, and a real supporter of the university, Assemblymember Jose Medina.
Thank you, Regent Kiefer and Regents and President Napolitano, fellow elected officials. Honored to be here at the Regents meeting with all the chancellors, the students, the employees of UC. As chair of higher education for the last few years in the Assembly, there is nothing more important to me than UC, because I believe that the future of UC and the future of California have been and are and will be so closely intertwined. So it's a pleasure to be here. I just want to thank you for the opportunity of being here and share one announcement. On October 23rd, my committee, Higher Education Committee, is going to be having a hearing at UC Davis campus on diversity of faculty and administration, a topic that I see is going to be discussed here today and a topic that is very important to the legislature. I thank you again and look forward to a good year next year as we work together, UC and the legislature, for the betterment of all our students and citizens of California. So thank you for having me here today.
Thank you, Chair Medina. Questions? Yeah.
I don't have a question. I just want to make a couple of comments about Chairman Medina's tenure in the legislature with respect to higher education and UC in particular. He didn't mention it, but he's a dual product of UC Riverside, both an undergraduate and a graduate degree at UC Riverside. And in his first year in the legislature was instrumental in getting some of the final funding for the medical school at Riverside, which this year graduated its second graduating class of medical students, really making a huge difference in a medically underserved community and helping to optimize all the ways in which that campus in particular can serve the broader community. And I just thought it was important for everybody to know that specific role that Mr. Medina has played in his tenure in the legislature.
Sherry, Regent Lansing.
Well, I just wanted to thank you because I was actually, I believe, Chair of Health Services at that time when we worked together, and without you, I don't think we would have had the Riverside situation that has been so wonderful. And so thank you for everything you did to make that happen. You brought back my memory. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure to see you here today. And thank you for your support of the medical school. I remember when that happened, how exciting it was. And thank you for everything you've done to support UC. It's really a pleasure to see you here, and it was an honor to work with you.
I understand you'll be sitting in on some of our meetings today, and it'll be good to have you there. Thank you again.
Mr.
Yes.
I just also wanted to congratulate you for your progress, and besides working as a strong supporter for UC, he's been the champion for ethnic studies, and he has some legislation he's crafted very smartly to enrich our students' education and understanding the diversity we have in California. So thank you for that leadership, preparing the students in our schools today for their UC experience later.
All right, I'll now call on President Napolitano for her remarks.
All right, good morning, Chair Kiefer, and I want to begin by thanking Chancellor Block and the UCLA campus for hosting our meeting here this week. It's a pleasure to be on campus as the new academic year kicks into gear. Two of our campuses, Merced and Berkeley, have already begun the fall term, and the rest of our campuses begin classes this week. So I want to take the opportunity to wish our students, our faculty, and staff a terrific and productive new school year. Like Chair Kiefer, I want to welcome the new members of the Board of Regents, LaFonza Butler, Michael Cohen, Cecilia Estelano, and Richard Lieb. You were nominated and confirmed in record time. It was a rocket docket, and I congratulate you on this, and I'm looking forward to working with each of you. Also want to welcome Academic Senate Vice Chair Kumkung Bafani and Kate Klumau, who is the new staff advisor designate to the table. I look forward to your insights and contributions to the board's discussion. I do want to, however, acknowledge that I believe this is the last Regents meeting that State Superintendent Tom Torlakson will be able to attend. Superintendent Torlakson's term will end in January, but I want to take a moment to thank him for his dedication to improving the quality of education for all of California's students and for his service on the board. Superintendent Torlakson earned his bachelor's, teaching credential, and master's degree from Berkeley, and we look forward to your continued involvement with the University of California. So thank you, Superintendent.
I will be, and I hope to be here in November.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll repeat what I just said. You can hear it twice. There you go. As we begin a new academic year, I'd like to share a few updates since the board last met in July. Last week, the university reached a tentative agreement with the California Nurses Association, which represents 15,000 nurses who work across our 5 medical centers and student health centers. The contract includes annual wage increases and quality health and retirement benefits. I want to recognize CNA for their professionalism throughout these negotiations, and I'd like to thank UC's nurses for their hard work and dedication in delivering excellent patient care each and every day. A few weeks ago, the university also reached an agreement with the United Auto Workers, who represent UC's academic student employees. That contract also includes annual wage increases and a child care subsidy, among other provisions. Academic student employees make significant contributions to the university's teaching mission, and we thank them for working with us to reach this agreement. In August, the state legislature completed the 2018-19 session. Our thanks to all the members, especially Chair Medina, if he's still here, for their work and collaboration with us on bills that impact the university. Many bills of importance to the university remain on the governor's desk awaiting his action, and we will keep the board apprised of the outcomes. Earlier this month, many members of the UC community took part in the Global Climate Action Summit in San Francisco. The summit was co-chaired by Governor Brown, brought together literally thousands of people from various sectors across the world to discuss solutions and form partnerships to address climate change. Shortly before the summit, the university announced a bold expansion of its system-wide sustainability goals as part of the UC Carbon Neutrality Initiative. We will now aim for 100% reliance on clean electricity across our campuses and medical centers by 2025. This new goal complements UC's goal of being operationally carbon neutral by that same date. In addition, we announced at the summit that 5 new schools have joined the University Climate Change Coalition, UC3, which we lead, for a total of 18 institutions. We were pleased to welcome Boston University, the University of Connecticut, the University of South Florida, WashU in St. Louis, and the University of Arizona to the coalition. Meanwhile, UC campuses hosted a dozen affiliate events at the summit, and the university's California Subject Matter Project partnered with several organizations to convene a day-long event focused on the role of education as a fundamental element in climate change solutions. The summit provided an invaluable opportunity to forge new partnerships, share best practices, and push meaningful climate action forward. I want to thank the governor for his leadership on this pressing issue. All of us at UC look forward to continuing to support the state of California in its fight against climate change. I'm also pleased to share that the university, its campuses, and medical centers continue to shine in national rankings. Earlier this month, U.S. News & World Report ranked 5 UC campuses among the top 10 public universities for undergraduate education in the country, with UCLA at number 1. All 9 UC undergraduate campuses ranked among the top 75 public universities, showing once again that excellence runs throughout the University of California system. UC Riverside made the largest gains of any university in the country, jumping 39 positions in the U.S. News & World Report rankings, and Merced also climbed 29 spots, giving validity to the sense that this is a 10-campus system, that excellence runs throughout. It's worth noting that U.S. News & World Report implemented a major change in its rankings methodology with the addition of a social mobility category, and this is an area in which the UC campuses excel. In August, U.S. News also placed UCSF and UCLA Med Centers at numbers 6 and 7, respectively, in its national ranking of literally thousands of hospitals. Within California, UCSF and UCLA hospitals were ranked number 1 and number 2, and UC Davis, UC San Diego, and UC Irvine's medical centers were not far behind. Also last month, Money Magazine released its annual release of the 50 best colleges in the U.S., and the University of California campuses took 5 of the top 11 spots, with UC San Diego ranked 2nd in the nation. In late August, Washington Monthly recognized UC campuses for their leadership in social mobility, research, and public service. In the magazine's annual college guide, all 9 UC undergraduate campuses placed in the top 100 nationally, and 6 were in the top 30. And if that's not reason enough to celebrate, A recent study by the Beacon Economics Consultancy found that UCLA serves as an economic powerhouse for the city of Los Angeles, the Southern California region, and the state of California. The study found that UCLA generated more than $11 billion in economic activity and supported more than 72,000 full-time jobs throughout the state in the 2016-17 fiscal year. I think that data supports what we've known for decades. University of California campuses make immense contributions to the communities in which they reside, and UC as a whole continues to serve as a robust economic engine for the state of California. And finally, some bittersweet news. After 12 years of exemplary leadership, UC Santa Cruz Chancellor George Blumenthal informed me last week that he will retire at the end of this academic year. George's career at the University of California has spanned more than 46 years in total. During George's tenure as chancellor, UC Santa Cruz has steadily increased the number of California students it serves, including underrepresented and low-income students. Under his leadership, the campus expanded both its academic offerings and its research enterprise. George has also worked hard to nurture strong relationships with the Santa Cruz community, recognizing that those collaborations are critical to the continued upward trajectory of the campus. As he steps down as chancellor, George will continue to spend time on campus, teaching, writing, and volunteering in support of the university. In the coming weeks, I intend to convene a committee to conduct a national search to find the next chancellor for UC Santa Cruz. I'd like to thank George for everything he has done for the University of California and for the Santa Cruz campus, and I look forward to the next academic year where we will still continue to work together. So thank you, George, and Chair Kiefer, that concludes my remarks.
All right, thank you, Madam President. We're now going to adjourn our, excuse me, I missed the best part here. Let me call on faculty member and Representative May to present his remarks.
Thank you, Chair Kiefer and members of the board. Each year at the September meeting of the Board of Regents, the chair of the Academic Senate has the distinct honor of introducing to the board the new vice chair of the Academic Senate and faculty representative to the board. This year, I have the pleasure of introducing Kumkum Bhavnani, distinguished professor of sociology at UC Santa Barbara, whom Chair Kiefer and President Napolitano have already graciously welcomed. Kumkum received her doctorate from King's College, Cambridge, and has been on the faculty at UCSB since 1991. Her research focuses on globalization, women and international development, cultural studies, and critical social psychology, areas in which she has widely published. Her academic Senate service record is extensive. Most notably, Kumkum served 2 terms as chair of the Santa Barbara Division. Currently, Kumkum's research is channeled through cinema, and she is an accomplished award-winning filmmaker. Among her films is The Shape of Water, unfortunately not the Academy Award winner, but an exceptional documentary about women confronting destructive development with a passion for change. Chocolate lovers, architecture buffs, and intrepid travelers are also touched by Kumkum's films. Nothing Like Chocolate, about a chocolatier in Granada, Luta, about Santa Barbara's first licensed female architect, and We Are Galapagos, about conservation efforts by the island's inhabitants. Join me in welcoming Kumkum to her position as faculty representative.
Thank you.
My pleasure. For the Academic Senate, the foundation of the University of California's system of shared governance is built on the foundation laid by Regents Bylaw 40, which establishes the Academic Senate. Bylaw 40 defines the authorities and advisory capacities vested in the Senate by which the faculty are incorporated into the governance of the university. The Senate's obligation to set conditions for admission to UC is one of its most critically important responsibilities, as specified by Regents Bylaw 40.1. Last spring, President Napolitano, as part of her sesquicentennial challenges for UC, challenged the Academic Senate to develop a system-wide transfer guarantee for students from California community colleges who satisfy requirements set by UC designed to foster preparation for academic success at UC. This guarantee, which students must meet designated GPAs and have fulfilled a transfer pathway in their major field, was subsequently memorialized by President Napolitano and California Community College Chancellor Ortiz Oakley. The Academic Senate's responsibility for admission to UC is carried out by the Board of Admissions and Relations with Schools, BORS, with final approval falling to the Academic Assembly of the Senate. BORS, in concert with the University Committee on Educational Policy, USEP, will develop a system-wide transfer guarantee, including setting GPAs, that respects Regents Policy 2101, which requires admission of students up to our capacity to maintain quality of instruction, and Regents Policies 2104 and 2108 that set the primacy of holistic comprehensive review for admission to UC. Moreover, these committees will be working with an ad hoc Senate Administrative Implementation Coordinating Committee to ensure a timely rollout of the guarantee for students planning on transferring to UC. I'm glad to report that we are on schedule to meet President Napolitano's request that the transfer guarantee be on the books for students entering a community college in September 2019. The Academic Senate is looking forward to cooperative interactions with our colleagues from the CCC Academic Senate and the CCC administration, especially on the all-important areas of advising and outreach to bring clear awareness of the opportunities to transfer to UC to an increasingly broad range of potential applicants. Additionally, in the area of admissions, the Academic Senate will also be taking up, on President Napolitano's request, a thorough review of the value of standardized testing as a predictor of academic success. Again, responsibility will fall on the shoulders of BORS and USEP, along with the University Committee on Preparatory Education. At the Academic Senate's recent retreats for Senate divisional and committee chairs and vice chairs, a full slate of issues falling within the Senate's authorities and advisory purview were discussed. Time permits mentioning only a few. The continued enhancement of faculty diversity and equity remains at the top of the Senate's priorities, as do issues of faculty welfare, including competitive faculty compensation, faculty housing, pension management, and the well-being of the active and retiree health programs, which cover all employees. In the latter area, we are particularly concerned with access to quality health care at the Merced campus, along with access for students to adequate mental and behavioral health services on all campuses. Open access to scholarly materials, online education, support for graduate education, and the balance of resources between state and self-supporting graduate degree programs are issues of key importance. Having a principled approach governing the placement of system-wide programs with academic content continues to be a concern. The Senate appreciates President Napolitano's strong affirmation of the role of shared governance processes and the evaluation of these programs in the UCOP restructuring effort. The Academic Senate is keenly following the developments of the university's multi-year budgeting plan and looks forward to continued cooperation with the administration in support of state reinvestment in the university in order to adequately maintain and enhance our academic infrastructure. As you can see, the Academic Senate's plate is full with our share of shared governance, and I'm looking forward to discussing with the regents our progress on these issues and others that will come our way during the course of the year. In concluding my remarks, I would like to cite the following comment due to President David Gardner. Quote, "If one examines the structure of American universities, how they are organized, and how they go about their business, it's fair to say there's nothing unusual about the way in which the University of California has organized itself, except for the Academic Senate. That is special. The Academic Senate assures the faculty a strong voice in the university affairs, is an indispensable partner in an authentic system of shared governance without peer among American universities. This arrangement protects the university's academic freedoms and helps to preserve and enhance the excellence of its teaching, research, and public service." Noteworthy in this remark is the recognition of the shared governance role of the Academic Senate as the secret sauce of the institutional strength of the university. But it also recognizes the great responsibilities that are placed on the Academic Senate. The Academic Senate, the faculty of the University of California, embraces both these roles and responsibilities as it seeks to bring to the university to even greater heights of accomplishment and distinction. Thank you, Chair Kiefer. This concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Faculty Representative May. We'll now adjourn our board meeting and go to committees. At 10, we're past time now, so as soon as you can get there, the Compliance and Audit Committee will be meeting in this room. The Public Engagement and Development Committee will be meeting next door in the Centennial Hall C&D. Both meetings will be video streamed. When the morning committees adjourn at noon, we'll break for lunch. In the afternoon, we'll be getting together promptly at 1 o'clock. Academic Affairs will be in Centennial Hall, and Finance and Capital Strategy will be in this room. The Governance and Compensation will meet at 4 p.m. Thank you.